G'day, everyone, and welcome back to another year of Wind Against Tide. I am Dave Standing, joined tonight by my co-host, as always, Joseph Fernand. Joey, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, my friend.
Dave, fantastic to be here. It's a new year. Welcome, fishing friends, wherever you're watching tonight. We are back for 2024. Summer has arrived, and so have the fish. So, if you're sitting back, make sure you've got a nice comfy armchair, or maybe you're on holidays, Davey. Maybe you're down at your seaside holiday house just kicking back and listening to us. But wherever you are listening tonight, we welcome you to this hour of power of Wind Against Tide. What is going on tonight's show, Dave?
Wow. There is people still on holidays, Joe. I see them driving around, enjoying themselves while the rest of us are back at work, and I despise them.
Because you are now a boat salesman. So
I am. I have made a career change, and I'm living my best life. So
you've joined us, fellow snake oil salesman.
yeah. I know the crap I used to give you for being a salesman, and then I went into sales at my last job, and here I am.
Old Gillen up a storm.
I'll have to get some tips off you later, Joe. Maybe we should do a salesman's podcast one day.
Yeah, definitely.
Joey's sales podcast.
We can have a sell-off.
That'd be great. Well, I don't think I can compete with you. You've been smashing it this week from what I've heard, Joey. But
you're all right. Dave, how was your New Year's? Because you got up. Yeah, what did you get up to over the break?
Mate, it's always fast and furious, the Christmas break. But I think New Year's Eve was probably my favourite night or day of the whole break, because it was just a chilled one, Joey. So we actually took the boat out, and we had my wife, my little boy, and my sister-in-law Bella with us, and we went over to see the fireworks by boat over there at Cowes, Phillip Island, Joe.
Oh, so you had the boat in Western Port and you took it over to watch some fireworks?
Yeah, we launched. It was a really cool, chilled evening, actually. We had a barbecue on the boat and actually caught some whiting, Joe, while we're waiting for the 9:30 fireworks.
Did you do some whiting tacos?
We actually did. That's how we ate them, yeah.
Oh, yum. I love whiting tacos.
Yep. So, yeah. G'day, Kim. How you going, mate? As always, jump on the live chat and have a chat to us, and we will interact in real time.
15, we got 15 in the chat room. I don't see much talking.
That's right. Get on it, everyone. So, we went over and saw the fireworks from the water, Joe, which I can highly recommend. It was actually bloody massive this year. It was they spared no expense. They launched them off the end of Cowes Jetty, and there was probably a good 20 to 30 boats there. So it's a thing. And there was, I reckon, a good 15,000 people on the foreshore watching it. It was going off.
Wow.
So the trick is you drive your boat over there and past the crowds of people on land and smile and wave, and you say, "Where's your boat, peasants?" No, you don't do that. But yeah, so that was really cool. And yeah, well, as I said, while we're waiting for the fireworks, we chucked a few pippies down and got some lovely whiting from the shores of Cowes, Joe. So
that sounds beautiful. It was actually a reasonable night, New Year's Eve. Nice. Wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. It was lovely.
It was bloody windy, Joe.
Oh.
The wind never bloody stops, mate.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, we talk about it all the time, but it's been outrageous of late. There's just not many weather windows, that's for sure. So we did that, and the only other fishing really over my break I can report, Joe, is I had this brilliant idea to go fishing for kingfish.
You hatched a plan.
I hatched a plan. I thought, where is a good spot this time of year? And there's going to be no crowds, given that it's the busy holiday period and everyone will be out. So New Year's Day, actually, it was. So we didn't go too hard the night before, Joe. New Year's Day, we launched, and we went from Stony Point, and we went all the way down to Cape Lip Trap and at Wilson's Prom. So it's about 95k each way, Joey.
Mate, you put a lot of $100 bills through the engine that day, I'm sure.
Certainly did. And I thought, you know what, it's going to be worth it, because I've been there this time of year before and there's been kingfish aplenty. But this time we got down there. The weather was quite nice on the way down. Cruised down. We stopped just outside the eastern entrance there and just absolutely filled the tank full of beautiful live baits, Joey. It was too easy. They were everywhere on the sounder.
Oh, definitely adding that to my notes. Plenty of live bait offshore for all those kingfish fishermen out there. We're going to talk about that in a little bit.
That's
but
right.
Continue.
And I always say when it's easy to get baits or you get baits easily, that's when you struggle on the kings. And I probably shouldn't have said that, but yeah, that was the case. So got down there, we towed some baits through some beautiful looking water, only just touching on 17 degrees, I might add, which probably isn't that ideal. So maybe
A little bit cool.
Yeah, I mean, they'll definitely be in that temp, but I do like to see it sort of 17 and a half and upwards. But yeah, no good. But interesting thing was we were towing a fresh calamari and that got nailed. And turns out we hooked about a 30-kilo mako shark on the kingfish bait right up along the cliffs there. So
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
And it was going off its proverbial.
Yeah.
And it was going crazy and inevitably bit us off, but not before it screamed around a little bit. And yeah, that was interesting to see one of them so close to the shore. That's for sure.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was my probably only real fishing expedition. And then
who'd you have on board, by the way?
Dion, Suraj.
Oh yeah,
King Kong, Donkey Kong, mate.
he
Look,
was in the house.
Suraj and Jeremy, mate. Suraj's friend.
Yep.
So yeah, and then basically we got down there for a couple of hours, and the forecast was not for the wind to come up until about 4 p.m. And it hit about 10:30, 11 a.m. and it came roaring up, Joey. And
came racing on up.
That's not what you want when you're that far from home. So
would have been a long trip home with the wind.
Quite a long punch home. One thing I did note while out there though, Joey, that Coal Point area that's always so good for bluefin, that was loaded with mutton birds. And you know what that means? Bluefin casting soon.
Woohoo.
Very exciting.
No, I can't wait. I really can't wait. But I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again. I am absolutely hanging to eat some fresh kingfish. In these cooler waters here in Victoria, there is just nothing more delicious than fresh king, I've got to say.
I was talking about this with someone the other day, and they said, I prefer it over bluefin. I said, yeah, but that's because we catch a lot more bluefin than we do kingfish down here. I think that it's like, if you haven't, when you haven't eaten something for ages and then you have it and it's like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit like that with the kingfish and tuna situation, because obviously southern bluefin is world-class sushi. But you're right, when you have kingfish and you don't get it all the time, it's absolutely delicious, Joey.
Oh, just any way, like, sashimi style, or even just kingfish, like lemon and garlicked and chilied and on a hot coal barbecue, or even your Weber or your Ziegler Brown, whatever you got. It's just good every way, kingfish. Even kingfish fish and chips, just tossed in some hot oil and left to sizzle.
Oh, do you know what nearly some of the best kingfish I ever had was, Joey? Was actually at Marlow with Andrew Pawsey and Josh Fildez.
Oh, really?
The old boys.
Yeah, Old Boys Incorporated.
We went out and we absolutely smashed the kingfish. And as my old trips with them do, we ended up at the pub.
Yeah.
Which is, that's just a given. But like those boys like to be having in with every pub throughout the whole of Victoria and all the fishing ports. So
they're pub celebrities.
So they were good friends with the publicans. So we gave them the kingfish fillets and they beer battered them for us, Joe, which is not really how you generally have kingfish. But I don't know if it was because the beers were flowing and the weather was hot, but that was bloody good, I must say.
Oh man. Ugh.
So can recommend.
I can't wait.
Joey, you're keen to give us a petrol update, aren't you?
I absolutely
You've been watching the Bowsers.
This is back from popular demand because let's face it, we're all putting hundreds and hundreds of dollars through our cars and our boat engines right now. So here's my fuel update, courtesy of Petrol Spy. You wouldn't believe it. In where we got here, we've got Frankston North BP on Frankston Dandenong Road, $1.83 a litre. Represents somewhat value, but let's see if I can find some really cheap fuel here, just looking all over across the Melbourne seaboard here. We've got Costco petrol right by Moorabbin Airport there, just off Boundary Road, $1.68. $1.68, Dave.
For unleaded.
Very cheap.
Unbelievable.
This is just unleaded, 91. But then if we go,
I legitimately haven't refilled my boat since that lip trap trip.
Yep. I'll even do a Peninsula update for you because let's face it, there's a lot of people staying down the Mornington Peninsula at the moment. But
there'll be some gouging going on down there.
Okay. Well, at Capel Sound, down at Coles Express there, right opposite the water, you got $1.94 there. Not too bad. Not the cheapest, but
yeah, I've had worse.
Worse. And then we'll just quickly go over to the western side because we don't leave our friends in the west. But I tell you what, if you leave it down at Werribee there, Werribee BP off Balban Road there, $2.09 a litre. This is unleaded, 91. So that's quite expensive. So I reckon if you can pick up petrol right now for around the $1.70 mark, you're doing all right. So there you go. There is the cheap fuel update.
It's the update nobody asked for, but by God, did they get it, Joe. I really did enjoy that. So there's all your petrol updates coming into the fishing season.
Prepare your $100 to go through your boat and car engines. There you go.
Beautiful, Joey. You haven't been out. Have you been fishing lately? I feel like I haven't seen much of you, Joe. What's been going on?
No, I haven't dangled a line in the water yet.
There's been some like romance or something going on.
It's been absolutely awful weather, Dave. Like, let's be honest. Like, have you? Well, no, last week was pretty good, but I had been tied up. But that's a story for another day.
I've got him squirming. He won't be happy about this.
No, it's okay.
No, I saw you've got on the run sheet there something about rich, fattening Christmas foods. Care to explain?
Oh, the Christmas foods left over. I don't know. How long were you eating your Christmas ham for afterwards?
Oh, yeah. You always eat it until it starts to go slimy and you get concerned about it, don't you?
No, not so
Actually,
much.
and a completely unrelated topic, I got pretty sick for like 3 days after Christmas.
What? Why?
And I figured it was just my body rejecting the amount of rich foods I'd eaten over that period.
Oh, my gosh.
But no, we're good to go here. Back on track and some exciting trips planned for this year, Joey. It's an exciting time to be a fisher person in Victoria.
It is. The water's starting to warm up, and definitely the fishing is hotting up. We'll get right into it into the hookup. But look, like lots of things happening at the moment.
That's right. I guess one of the things to touch on before we get to the hookup is we're going to mention the kingfish fishing because it's probably the buzz fish of this period of the year. But more interestingly is the amount of them that seem to be getting recaptured, Joe. So there's been another one, and our good friend Jason Taylor is generally one of the taggees. He seems to have, I think he said he's had something like 8 fish recaptured, Joe.
That seems to be quite a lot. Like when you think about tagging kingfish, like there's been quite a bit of tuna tagging going on, but they're not getting recaptured. So I don't know. Is that a representation that the numbers are not so good if these fish are getting recaptured so frequently?
Oh, well, like we have seen some tuna recaptures, but yeah, the biomass of tuna is just so much larger that we're not interacting with the same fish over and over again, not nearly as much as with these kingfish, which could be seen as being a concern, Joe. Having the same fish interacting with fisher people so frequently, which, it's I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm not a scientist, Joe, but there's definitely there's good numbers of them at times, but
when they're on, they're on.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They're sort of concentrated a little bit, and maybe it's that there's the fish are just revisiting the exact same areas time after time, or these fishing hotspots, or maybe it's that there's not that many of them. It's something to follow up on, I'd say, Joe.
Yeah.
I've got a photo I'm just sending through to myself now.
Look, even as late as tonight, I've seen down at Portland Way. I think off the Lee Breakwater there was one caught tagged.
That's right. So there was one today that was recaptured. So we don't obviously have much information about that one yet.
So up on your screen now.
Up on your screen now we have a recent one from well inside Western Port. It was tagged originally by Jason Taylor last year, Joey,
Mhm.
and it's now being recaptured by Ryan Kang. So it was actually tagged towards the entrance of Western Port
Yep.
by Jason. So Jace will never reveal exact location, but it was the ocean part of the entrance of Western Port. So there's not really too many options there, is there?
No.
So around there, and it was recaptured a long way up the port, which is another interesting fishery that sort of emerged over the last few seasons. Is we're getting them right up into the upper reaches of the system.
Yeah, and people are actively starting to target them now. So yeah, definitely becoming a fishery.
So here's the little write up from a program called Project Kingfish, which is working on some sat tagging, I believe, and learning a little bit more about this species. So it's a bit like tuna champions, but for kingfish. So 10 months ago, this fish was tagged and released by Ace Jace in the lower parts of Melbourne's Western Port Bay. It was recently recaptured by Kang's Fishing 10 kilometres up inside the bay. In just 10 months, the kingfish grew 10 centimetres from 96 to 106 centimetres. The question is, did this fish remain inside the bay for the entire period, or do you think it travelled north to New South Wales during the winter months? It's always great to see more fish tagged and recaptured in Victorian waters, and hopefully with this increased effort, we will continue to piece together the puzzle on the movements and seasonal behaviour of kingfish all around Australia. Interesting.
Wow.
So, watch your space, because I'm sure we're going to see a bit more of that happening.
Yeah. No, that's interesting, Dave.
Now,
Very
Joey,
good.
you were going to give a bit of a wind farm update for us, because that's another thing that we talked about late last year.
Yeah, it's something that we've definitely been following, the proposal of wind farms to be introduced into the Victorian coastline. But here is a quick little excerpt from this week's news. The federal government has shut down plans to develop an offshore wind terminal at the Port of Hastings in Victoria. Federal Minister for the Environment and Water, Tanya Bilbasek, rejected the proposal to develop the new port facility, highlighting clearly unacceptable impacts for surrounding wetlands and wildlife. It was 2 days ago.
There you go.
That's it in a nutshell. So
they're not stopping the installation of the wind farms. They're stopping them using Western Port. Is that what we're getting from that?
Yeah, to develop an offshore wind terminal at the Port of Hastings.
Okay, so it'll be serviced. It'll have to be serviced from a different location, basically. So small win. But I think that a lot of locations, other states have spoken out against it politically. So it'd be interesting to see how this one progresses, Joe.
We'll have to get a proper wind farm update, but we're definitely, yeah.
My favourite was when we were at the boat show, situated right next to the Star of the South marquee.
Really?
Who were one of the main proponents of the wind farms, and one of the guys that plan to be installing a hell of a lot of them. And we were playing our wind farm chat live from our speaker there at the boat show.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
It was quite funny.
Did they listen?
They didn't mind. They thought it was pretty funny. We presented an unbiased view anyway, I think, Joe. So it was a good chat. Yeah. You've got another. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. I've got another news update as well. So it is holidays times, and most people will start to make themselves down towards our coastal getaways in metropolitan Melbourne. Most are popular, well, where we're close to down here, the Mornington Peninsula, and at one of my most favourite, beloved rock jumping spots down off Mount Martha, known as the Pillars. There was a story this week. Young girl breaks both legs jumping off popular Melbourne cliff, the Pillars. A 12-year-old was rescued by local lifesavers and rushed to hospital. She's doing all right. And but yeah, that kind of freaked me out because as you can see up on your screen there, that is a picture of the girl jumping off those rocks. To me, it looks like that she's completely missed the water, and it looks like both of her knees are going to hit the rocks.
Are you sure that's not like one of those alien sighting really fuzzy videos? Because it just looks like a pink blur to me, Joe.
Yeah.
So So you reckon she's come a cropper?
She hasn't jumped in the water there. But look, I actually have jumped off those rocks, and we can.
You've got experience with the rock jumping, do you?
Got experience with that.
That's
rock
what
jumping.
this video of a pale-skinned fellow jumping into the ocean is here, is it?
Yeah, this is it. So this is me jumping off the pillars. And you wouldn't believe it. I squealed like a little girl, dropped my GoPro into the bottom of where there's a queue of about 20 people jumping off the rocks. So instantly I shit myself because my brand new $850 camera has broken off its little bendy stick, and there's people jumping in the same spot where my camera's snapped off, and I have to dive to the bottom of the seafloor, which is about 3 meters, and I'm not the best diver, and I had to somewhat stop the line of people from jumping to try and fetch this $850 camera. Luckily, it was waterproof.
I imagine you panicking about that, and it would have looked uncool because you were trying to impress a couple of ladies, if I do recall. And
I had a couple of South American backpackers with me, which came for boat cruising. So yeah,
in the opulence of the Quintrex Dory.
It was.
Did you promise them a beautiful cruising vessel and you rocked up with the little tinny and they were a bit disappointed, or?
I think there was actually a bit of that.
Actually, we'll talk after this, Joe.
I think there was a bit of that. I was like, yeah, come out on my boat. And they've seen it, the beautiful tin boat just like dragged up on the beach there at Safety Beach, and thought I was a bit of a hero. And they're like, oh, there definitely was a moment.
Actually, Joe, I've got the exact boat for you. So we'll talk about that after this. I'll be able to sell you something that'll be sure to impress.
Oh, look, the Pillars is a beautiful spot at Mount Martha. Like, who needs the Amalfi Coast in Italy when you've got Mount Martha and those beautiful rocks to jump off? Like, it is actually beautiful. I recommend it. But just be very careful jumping off those rocks if you don't know what you're doing.
Something tells me that girl that broke both her legs and got hospitalized probably didn't squeal as much as you did, Joe.
You reckon? I don't know.
As painful as that sounds, I think there's a fair chance of that. So, yeah,
Very
beach
good.
jumping,
Yeah.
very good this time of year. Enjoyable.
It's nice.
Sometimes better than bashing around the ocean all day and catching nothing.
Yeah, 100%.
We want to move on to a couple of fishing reports, Joe.
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Now, before you hit that
Ooh.
play button,
Mm-mm.
this rendition of the hookup is brought to you by my new workplace, Mully's Marine. So come on down to Capel Sound there, just past Rosebud on the beautiful Mornington Peninsula, and come see us because we have an amazing range of fishing and cruising boats. Something there for everyone, Joey. Very exciting for all you fishers who are listening to the podcast. Let's be honest, that's everyone. Is we've got the beautiful Haynes Hunter boats there, Joe.
A bona fide Haynes Hunter dealership on the Mornington Peninsula. How good.
Very exciting. So you can come down, have a chat to me, even just talk fishing with me. I don't care. But come and have a look at what we've got down there at Mully's Marine.
Love it, Dave.
Hit that button.
Hey!
Welcome to the Hookup, where we go around Australia and indeed the world for the freshest fishing reports. Ooh, some very exciting fishing has been happening in the state and around Australia, Joey. It is the season, is it not?
It is.
I saw some. It's this time of year we do see the Marlin reports starting to filter through, and I saw an absolute beauty from a few days ago up there on the Gold Coast, Joe. A Oceaneer, which is actually a 6-meter Eden craft, much
Okay.
like mine. They went 25 from 26 shots on black marlin in a day.
Wow.
Can you comprehend that?
That's almost getting to Mexico carbo numbers.
It is. That's absolutely insane. How,
Like-
how would you even do that?
Reversing up on them and just snapping them right off.
Yeah, which is pretty much what you do in that situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely insane. Black marlin everywhere, which bodes well for a good season. I did see recently off Bermagui there was a good bite where I think a boat got 3 or 4. But then I have also seen videos of the fad out there, which was nearly getting pulled underwater by the current, Joe.
Oh, wow. They had big currents there.
So the current is absolutely pumping south. It's pretty warm. So what we need is for that current to hold up a little bit and allow the bait to stack up. And then we'll see the predators start to hang out in one area.
Yeah, the Marlin superhighway, as you've often referred to it as.
Yeah, I think we came up with that one when we were talking to Richie Obella, didn't we? Last time? So,
that's exactly right.
yeah, the Marlin Superhighway. So what we're looking for is that current to slow up, eddy, and the bait will stack up in a location, and then she'll be on for young and old.
Yeah,
And
I want a Marlin so bad this year.
we'll have to make a bit of a run for it at one stage, but
We
we'll
will.
just see what happens. We'll keep an eye on it.
Even I'd be happy to go wide off Lake's entrance for a Marlin, even if that happened. Do you reckon the hot water's going to start stacking up off Lake's entrance at some point?
Oh, there's every chance. Yeah, you just need it to sort of come around that corner into Bass Strait, and then it can be exceptional fishing in that area, Joe. So
around those oil rigs, a lot of I've mentioned in other podcasts, I have lost a Marlin off those oil rigs in February. And yeah, there's a lot of bait that stacks up around those oil platforms, and if the currents are right, the Marlin will follow to those platforms where the bait is.
absolutely, Joe. Now, Kingfish, we've discussed them a bit already, but they're kind of widespread throughout the state, and it's only really early days. So Port Welshpool out around the islands out there has really established itself as the premier kingfish fishery, really.
Definitely seems to be the most consistent place in the state.
It does. I mean, I remember like 15 odd years ago when we'd go out there, myself and good friend Kevin Bahaja, amongst others, and no one was out there really fishing for kingfish. There was only whispers in those very locations, and you'd catch bugger all, Joe. You go out there now, they're everywhere. It's a genuine fishery. Jigging very popular there, as well as towing live baits and casting lures. So very consistent. And also off Port Welshpool at the moment, there is a lot of tuna.
Yes, and they're not small.
No,
they're really not small either.
No. Friend of show Lockie O'Reilly, I think he got one that was like 48 kilo the other day. Out of Welshpool.
Oh, there's a blast from the past just in the chat room. Brock Ely.
How you going?
Welcome.
Yeah, so there was some very good sized bluefin about there, which there seems to actually be more down there currently than there is in our little zone of the world, Joe, which is interesting.
Chunky bastards too.
Chunky. Yeah, back on the kingfish for a sec. So
yes.
We've got Portland fishing reasonably well under the water tower there, which is just past the lee breakwall and also off the breakwall itself, Joe. I got our friend Suraj very excited a couple of weeks ago because I sent him a video of a fella getting a 1 meter king on a popper off the breakwall.
Oh.
Because his current mission is to catch one over a meter off the rocks, Joe. So if anyone's got any good land-based fishing spots for kings reasonably locally, Suraj would love to know. He's had a lot of attempts off towards the eastern entrance there. He got one, I think, 2 years ago.
I think we can make his dream come true. Like we can just drop him off at one of those islands at the prom.
That's what
and just pick him up at the end of the day. He'll catch one.
That's what I'm thinking.
One of those big boulderous, large islands where that's nice and smooth.
But I think that he's kind of keen to do it, somewhere that he can walk to or really do. He's a purist, Joe. He's a purist, so he's doing that. So yeah, we've talked about Southwest. Lady Julia Percy Island, also good for kings currently. Some really good ground through there, quite consistent. Good this time of year, Joe.
That water tower is a fantastic spot off Portland. Like you wouldn't need a huge boat to access that little piece of water. Most people usually associate kingfish with big offshore adventure travels. Like you can even go in Western Port now and just go buoy hopping and try to find up some kings on your sounder. It's really quite impressive. If you're serious about catching a kingfish, it's becoming more accessible to everybody.
Yeah, well, my brothers who seem to fish more than me now went out a couple of days ago, Joe, and they fished the top of Western Port and report seeing a lot of kingfish along various pieces of structure. Mostly, I think, smaller versions, but the odd big one mixed in. They didn't catch any, but they had a few follow jigs and whatnot up, and a couple of boats nearby were reefed by big models. So absolutely are there. Joey, while we're talking about...
Look.
Look at him indeed.
This is OG Kingfisherman, Big T Tony, fished out of...
Why do they call him Big T? It should be Big K.
Why Big K? Big King. Ah, gotcha. Very slow, very slow.
Big K, because he's consistently catching big kingfish. So I think he should exchange his Big T for a Big K.
Yep. He got a 13-kilo kingfish offshore in Western Port. He does it all the time, Joe. He just goes out and he goes bang.
He just sneaks off and goes bang.
There you go, Big T. Solo as well, Joey. And that'd be nearly the length of Tony, actually. 115 centimeters. So.
Really?
No. But well done, Tony. King Kong, Donkey Kong catch of the week. Very nice. What are you doing, Joe?
Oh, that's all right. Keep going.
You're looking at Joey's flicking through his
my encyclopedia.
The oldie Rex Hunt encyclopedia, looking for some sort of information there.
Yeah, I was going to say what Rexy says about the kingfish.
Oh no, you go. You look that up.
That's all right.
I'll keep things rolling over here on my part.
Oh yeah.
So the other king I was going to discuss is the whiting, the King George whiting, Joey. They've been quite consistent throughout Western Port and Port Phillip as per usual for this time of year. So plenty of guys getting stuck into them.
Yeah, there's a few whiting stacks starting to happen, most definitely. But I just thought I might just round off on our kingfish there. I'll do a reading from Rex Hunt.
Mm.
So this is one of my favorite of all time books there up on the screen. It's from probably I'm going to say maybe 1995, 96, and Rex has got a description of fish here, and the yellowtail kingfish. It's belonging to the same family as amberjack and the Samson fish. The yellowtail king is one of the hardest fighters known to Australian anglers. It's found in all states except the Northern Territory and prefers to live around deep reefs, offshore islands, wrecks, and submarine ledges. The kingfish grows to more than 50 kilos, particularly around the North Island of New Zealand, but is more commonly seen in Australia between 6 to 15 kilos. It responds to a number of fishing techniques, including lure trolling, live baiting, and jigging. Once hooked, a kingfish will bolt for the nearest underwater obstacle, and unless the angler and tackle are up to the occasion, a break-off regularly results. A light to medium game outfit is the most sensible tackle option. Those kingfish caught in cooler waters make excellent eating, but the specimens from the temperate and the subtropical areas can sometimes have soft, less palatable flesh. Rexy's given it a 5 hooks out of 5, making it very good to catch. And he's given it a 4 chef's hat rating for eating. So 4 out of 5. So there you go.
That was awesome. So we are...
Enjoy that?
I think that Joe's plan is we will be referring to the Bible according to Rex here throughout the podcast for the foreseeable future.
Love this book.
Absolutely beautiful. A well-worn book by the looks of it, Joe. You've referred to that quite often. So that's what we get.
I actually lost this book, but I found it at an op shop, and I grabbed it because it was a fantastic read. I used to read this as a 10-year-old kid. It was my favorite.
Very good. I did just mention whiting going quite well, Joe. As I said, I had a bit of a dangle for them along the shores of Phillip Island. Middle spit also been good in Western Port. And Port Phillip, southern reaches of Port Phillip, quite good as well. And I know you're keen to get out amongst some of those swimming tacos, old boy.
Yeah. Oh, man, very much so.
Yep, consistent fishing for whiting. Pippies, squid, all the usual stuff. Early up and away you go. Move frequently would be my tip.
Definitely. Yeah, if you haven't put a whiting in the boat in 15 minutes, just work along the bank. I really enjoy going fishing for whiting in Western Port because there's so many banks where the water goes from 0 quickly to 5, and you can just literally move 50 meters along the side of the bank until you find the whiting school. I prefer to go whiting fishing when the tide is running out in Western Port, because a lot of the food washes off those sandbanks, and if you position your boat just right off the ledge, off some of those sandbanks, and it's really, you look at the map of Western Port, you can use your imagination anywhere where you can see that there's a shallow bank that spills into a channel is a great place to have a go for a whiting. But generally speaking, if you haven't put one in the boat, 15 minutes, just keep moving around. A burley can increase your chances to catch and to keep the school under your boat, but it can also attract unwanted species. Some purists don't use burley for whiting, but look, I've used both methods before and caught, but it's definitely timing and location in Western Port is very important for whiting.
Comprehensive. I loved it.
Yeah.
Good points. We've got a good old-fashioned report sent in from Jonah Yick, Tasmanian correspondent. He's been on a little holiday to the northwest coast of Tasmania, Granville Harbour. You heard of that one, Joe?
No, I haven't.
So Jonah's idea of a romantic getaway is to go to fishing locations and do seafood catching and foraging. So that's what he's done. On screen there is a zebra fish, I believe, which I think he
took. It looks like a ludric.
It very much does. So northwest coast of Tasmania, Granville Harbour, crays, abs, flounders, zebrafish, bastard trumpeter, dusky moor and dusky moorwong free diving, along with those bloody massive crayfish that he's got there. There's his partner Helen with a couple of very big pawa or abalone.
Yeah, I was going to say, look at her abs.
Look at her abs.
I'm so jealous of Jonah from Tasmania, Tasmanian correspondent. Every time we see pictures he sends on in, he just seems to be like in a seafood paradise down there.
That's right. G'day, Sub McCluskey.
Oh, the original Get Together, our title theme song on the show.
The man behind the music.
Live at Subs.
A lovely fellow.
Sub Machowski.
All right, I've gone with McCluskey. I've renamed him. G'day, mate. Thanks for writing in there. So, yeah, Jonah's done well there.
And Helen too. Helen and her abs.
And Helen. And here we go. He's gone on another trip out to Pedra Branca, Joey, looking for tuna.
Tell me, for those people listening in, tell us about Pedra Branca, where it's located, because it is quite a special place in Australia.
It's off the south of Tasmania, Joe. It's world famous for seeing giant seas. I think we've discussed this on previous podcasts. There's a really cool, I know I have brought this up before, but it's cool. There's a really legendary story about some scientists that were left overnight on the top of the structure. They were studying bird habitat or something like that, and they were like 50 something meters off the seafloor, off the ocean or something. So should have been safe, but throughout the night they had massive seas roll through and they got washed off there. The waves were some of the largest ever recorded in the area. So pretty crazy. Look that up, have a read of it if you can find it. Yeah. So there is Jonah.
That's him at Pedra Branca with holding a large shark.
He went there looking for big tuna, and there he is with a large school shark, also known as a taupe in other parts of the world. And he's saying that is around 30 kilo from Pedra. They also caught some striped trumpeter. And
the trumpeter season's on right now.
And another trip he has done here, deep dropping off Eaglehawk Neck, he caught this cool thing. Looks like a blue eye.
Oh, I thought it was a blue eye.
Not a blue eye. This is a white wahoo.
It does look like a wearer. There's a freshwater wearer.
So there's a what?
Oh, there's a freshwater fish called a wearer that it's got a similar sort of body and eye profile to that. I think South American Amazon fish, but might just have to fact check that. But continue.
Yeah, I think you've made that up. No, it does sound good though, Joe. So yeah, it looks very much like a blue eye, but lighter in coloration, still very slimy, still very good to eat, he reports. So he's caught them amongst the sharks, and there's some regular. In fact, is that both blue eye? That might be blue eye next to the waroo thing, maybe. Anyway, blue eye and waru, and he had a lot of shark interactions on this trip. So you can see there's a blue shark there just coming up and sniffing his burley cage, Joey.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, it's having a great sniff there.
you want to flick the camera back on me? I think I'm going to go searching here because Jonah did send through some videos, and I want to show people just how fired up these sharks get in this part of Tasmania. If you're fishing the shelf down there off Eaglehawk Neck or anywhere along the east coast, it's very common to encounter quite a number of sharks, Joey. So
I just fact checked the Weru. It's actually Uru. See if I can get that there. That's the freshwater one.
Yeah, I figured it was highly likely you were on the wrong path there. So here we go. Little quick clip of a nice mako swimming around his trail. Coming up and having a nibble on the boat.
Look at that. How many kilos do you reckon that is?
It's a pocket size one. That one's probably about 50 by the looks of it.
Is that Helen? She's munching the burley
No, I
cage?
don't think. I think it's one of Jonah's fishing crew. So there you go.
Oh,
Coming up and having a nibble on the burley pot, Joe.
Oh, that's one of his mates. Sorry.
Good thing about makos and shark fishing is you can get really good footage of them because once you got them up in the trail, they generally will hang around until you either hook them or they've had their fill. So you can get some cool footage. But yeah, cool little clip sent through from Jonah there. Joey?
I tell you what, the mako fishing seems to not be as popular at the minute in Victoria.
No,
I'm just going to just put it out there.
Yeah, no, we've got some. We've got so much sport fishing going on that they get a bit neglected these days. They used to be the pinnacle.
Like summertime, you would just, you'd be collecting all your off burley from snapper season or, whiting trips, and you'd just be, planning to go out there. And it was very popular, I'd say 10 or 12 years ago.
Absolutely. I did see Matt Hunt went out wide today and did some deep dropping and had a good bag of gemfish.
Oh, he had a deep dropping fiesta today, Matt Hunt.
He did. I don't have the photo here, but he had a bunch of gemfish and a nice mako. So, if you want to head out into the deep, there's still all those fish available. You just got to travel a little bit. And I guess that's where our crap weather of late comes in. It makes it very hard to access, Joey.
Yeah, love it.
Still going on the reports. We've mentioned it briefly, but the big run of summer school bluefin, which is always good fun.
We haven't gone yet, but should we go? Do you think it's started?
They're definitely around, Joe. So they're kind of spread. There's obviously plenty of fish in shallows there at Portland, as there always is, but closer to home, lots and lots of fish at Barwon Heads. Reports coming from Cape Shank. Inverloch, very, very consistent, and a few coming from Coal Point as well, if you can locate them. So we look in the next month or so, we'll see the mutton birds get a bit more active, Joe, and when the fish are under those bird congregations, they become very easy to find. Currently, you need to have your eyes peeled for that rippling water that we like to see. And
the old ripple dogs are back.
And once you locate that, you've either found some feeding fish or they're just going to ignore you all day and really do your head in.
Yeah, good mate Adrian Cassar rang me this afternoon and he said, Joe, I will never go fishing again after it's been calm for 3 days and those bloody tuna are just going to be sunbaking and looking at you all afternoon. Because I won't do it.
Where'd he go?
Do it. Oh, he hasn't been yet, but he was just preempting for what could be about to happen. You and I have been there. I remember we actually went January the 2nd, my birthday last year. We went tuna fishing and they were appearing on the sounder and we didn't see any rippling water, but they were appearing on the sounder and they were just lock-jawed. When it's, I've definitely like to go for them after, be the first boat out there after a big blow.
Well, even when it's blowing.
Yes.
You can put up with the rough weather. They generally chew pretty hard. But
we got them good in, I reckon it was 20, 25 knots, south or southeast.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. If you can put up with some wind and waves, then that is a good option, Joe. So look forward to that for a few months. Exciting times in local fishing and throughout Australia. And we'll be coming at you with reports over the coming months for that sort of stuff.
And what are they getting them on at the minute, Dave?
It's pretty normal. Like every year, everyone's really fishing the same methods. So Poppers, as we know, very good top water. Stick baits as well. But a lot of people towing either spreader bars with small lures, 4-inch lures behind them.
4-inch,
or-
that's a small skirt.
Yeah, it is quite a small skirt. Or Helco Laser Pros and small divers are always really good this time of year too, especially when the fish are a little bit finicky. They'll often still eat a diver, Joey. So that's my tips for that.
Yeah, lovely.
But plenty of that to be had, Joe.
Mhm.
I'm sure that we'll be amongst that very shortly if this weather will settle.
Yes.
Any other fishing reports you want to add, my friend?
No, that's a big roundup. But have you heard much of the snapper? Snapper?
Nah, everyone's doing other stuff.
Snapperinos?
I'm sure they're still around.
Yeah.
I've seen there's I've seen a few soundings out of Port Phillip where they're still quite stacked up. So
I saw that. Richie Abella, he had his Faruno, reckons, dialed in beautifully.
oh, you know who will keep catching them will be Brett Reed from Reedy's Rigs. So he'll keep us updated, Joey.
Yeah.
He loves them.
No, I saw that story from Richie this week about dialing in your Faruno perfectly. You're a Faruno sounder owner, Dave. What would you say is dialing in your sounder perfectly, just as a general theology about it?
How you want to appear?
Yeah.
I guess you just want to get to a stage where you're marking good solid targets. You know what you're seeing, and so you get to a stage where you can sort of read what a mark is in reference to a fish and a fish's behavior. And it's just a matter of really having a look through your settings, having a fiddle. There's a lot of information on the internet, obviously. It does depend on what transducer you're running to as to how you're going to set it up.
Yeah.
But I like to run a fairly clutter-free screen, I guess, Joey.
It's important because this time of the year, chasing a lot of those pelagics, you want your sounder to be working perfectly because that you could locate the school of fish and they might just switch on. But if you don't have that sounder going, it's now I remember there was times where your sounder was playing up around that time of the year, and you were pretty frustrated, saying it was going to be hard to fish without it.
Oh, it is. It's like once you get to know your electronics, they're so helpful. Not just finding fish. I mean, like I can literally just drive around using it as a scanner, and when I see if I see like birds on the water and I don't have lures in, I can just do a quick drive through, and if I don't mark them, they're not there. But I also know if they're really actively feeding by the way that they appear on the sounder, because like a kingfish, for instance, when they're moping about and not in a feeding mood, they'll mark up as more of an arch, and then once they really fire it up, you'll see them. The lines will get quite squiggly, and they'll be running, through the transducer, chasing bait and whatnot, and they streak across the screen.
That's exactly right. They streak, and it's like squiggly, like as if because their tails are pumping and they're swimming.
Yeah, they're moving through the beam pretty quick, basically. So it's same thing with tuna as well, especially barrels. So yeah, electronics very important, Joe.
Yeah.
So whatever your sounder is, and they're all pretty good these days. Just spend a little bit of time fiddling around.
They actually are. Like even what would you say you could spend $1,000 on it, $1,250 on a fish finder, and you're going to get something pretty good just straight out of the box.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's remarkable, especially in shallow water, what technology is like these days. I mean, I'm running old tech, so a lot of the new stuff's gone past what I've got. But my stuff works for me currently. It's what you understand and can read, and just have a bit of a fiddle around if you're not too familiar with your settings, and you'll work it out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can pay someone. There's plenty of guys that do sounder tuitions and setups, and they'll get it running smoothly for you.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Very interesting subject, Joey. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it is, because it does come up quite a bit.
Yeah. Now we're going to
good boat tool.
Oh, it is a good boat tool, no doubt about it. So we are going to throw to a few questions, I believe. So all the boys there in the group chat, feel free to chuck some questions in as well. And while we're running through them, we will get to your ones as well. So bear with me. All right.
Yep, you can light them up in the chat room if you like.
So Bowie Ely says, local school tuna, why are they not eating? However, their stomachs are dead empty. Well, that goes back to a little bit about what we've just been talking about. That's the $1 million question, isn't it, Joe?
Yeah, well, why are they sunbaking and not eating?
Yeah, what makes
Why do
them-
they come here? Why do they come shallow? Have they always been coming here? Is it just social media that's spreading the word, or have they been visiting us for many years?
the
Age-old question.
the a lot of people say that they're finning around on top like we see them doing, and it's like a thermal regulation behavior, Joey. They're soaking up the sun or whatever. I'm not a scientist, so I don't really know. I do know they've got a pretty big temperature range, so you'll catch them from 13 degrees up to a fair bit over 20 degrees. So
Well, yeah, their blood is warm usually when you're
So-
covering one up.
So it's funny, like when they're doing this behavior, sometimes they will still feed, and other times they just refuse absolutely anything you throw at them. And you come in from fishing and you say you've seen them all day, and your mate always tells you how he would have caught them.
Yes.
Or you should have
you
cubed
should
them.
have
You
had
should have
this.
done this. You
You
should have
had this lure, or should have had a little slug, or a little white plastic, or the little $2 Kmart plastic.
So I guess, yeah, maybe when they're displaying that behavior, they're just not in full feeding mode, which is why I do like chasing them in the coming months when they're on bait balls a little bit more and a little bit more ravenous. And you won't mark them in as tight a packs as you do at the moment because they're actually spread and they're absolutely causing carnage to the local bait fish populations. We've got one coming on the chat there from Sub. Do you want to read that one, Joey?
Yeah. Sub says we bagged out on snapper 3 to 4 kilos and gummies north of Coronella with a psycho session 2 days ago. Double hookup for 4 hours. Epic. It's a great report. So there are still snapper about in Western Port. There you go.
Very good.
Love it.
And Webby's jumped in on the chat there as well, having a crack at Joe, which I appreciate. And he said,
I don't know about that.
early morning or arvo roll on bluefin, pros and cons. Oh, we like a light. We like a late start this time of year, don't we?
Oh, we do. There's no favors. I don't think there's any favors in going out early for the school bluefin because in the summertime they seem to be really the best bite periods is around lunchtime. I don't know what it is. When that sun gets straight up, you can actually see the black silhouettes rippling, and you can see them up on the surface this time of year. So yeah, it's beautiful. You can launch at like 8:30, 9 o'clock, and just
and you catch
head
them
on
and
out
you're covered in blood and you're salty and your arms are stretched and you come back in and you find a nice little beach and you jump in the ocean, Joe, and you flap around and it's just magnificent.
It is.
I agree. Look, you'll catch them in the mornings for sure, very much so, and they will be often feeding on that change of light. But when you're actually spotting them and there's no birds to give away their location, they do tend to get up and on the surface a bit more as the sun sets in throughout the afternoon this time of year. So I think no rush, especially given the amount of fish out there, Joe.
Yeah,
this time of year.
there's a lot.
So that's what I'm going with for that one.
Yep.
Tourette's on a fish. That's the tag. That's the tag that sent this one in. How
like
do you,
like Therese, the Shimano fishing rod.
yeah, Shimano Tourette's on a fish. How do you pair braid strength to reel drag and rod strength for light game, as in kings and tuna?
Oh, that's a great question.
Well, it is interesting, isn't it? Because braid these days breaks at such a high strength that you can comfortably run light. Like we run 20 pound on the tuna and it doesn't really look like breaking.
Yeah, like I wanted to say it's more like, you've got to pair the braid and the monofilament correctly, or your leader line to your main line, because, you want the monofilament to be thicker than the braid. I know naturally that happens, but sometimes lines don't match. You want it to be able, so that leader line, that not
You're trying to keep your connection.
It bites into the braid. You want it to link. Sometimes when the poundage of the lines don't match, it's kind of difficult to tie great knots. So, yeah, like for example, so 20-pound braid, your leader line would be what, Dave?
Oh, well, it depends on the species, but generally
Just
for
say tuna.
casting a
Argument's
tuna, I'll
sake.
run 40-pound.
40-pound, and the knot that you would do like that leader line will bite beautifully into that braid, and it'll be snug and shouldn't let go if you know what you're doing.
Good take, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is, I mean, obviously, if you go too heavy on your braid and it's outweighing your rod capacity, and you do happen to lock up on a fish, then every chance that you could break your rod.
Explode the rod. I've seen that.
So rods are rated for a reason. Same with
read the label on your rods. That's a great tip, Dave. Read that label.
Same with lure casting on rods. You do need to make sure you're not casting something that's too heavy, which I've done in the past. When we're up GT fishing in Queensland, I full on snapped one of our PE6 rods and then realised I was casting lures that were about 2 to 3 times too heavy for the rod's capacity. So that's something to be mindful of, Joey.
When you get excited and caught up in the moment, and if you've switching reels with other rods, we're resourceful people, fishermen. We don't. Sometimes our stuff gets mixed and matched, and you just want to make sure that braid does match what it says your rod's rated to, because you get a big fish, that's exploding rod waiting to happen.
Jay Sag says, Makos, are we hitting them this summer, and any hot tips?
Oh, well, I think you've already hit them, Dave.
I know they have come up already. I accidentally did hook one already, which is unusual for me. We did a lot of shark fishing back in the day, but I guess these days we're more about the light tackle sport fishing side of things, really. Like it's hard to invest a full day to maybe raise a mako when you could be scooting around catching numbers of hard pulling kingfish and tuna, I guess, Joe.
It's absolutely world class. The light tackle summer fishery that we have, with the theme of the shows today, like kings and bluefin, they are just exceptional sport fish, and they're so exciting to catch.
Back in the day, we used to invest a lot more time in it. My tips for it would be the more burley, the better, obviously. Take a hell of a lot of burley. Persist as long as you can. I mean, I've drifted all day in the past and raised sharks at like 8:30 p.m. after a full day burleying.
You did a couple of overnights on the makos once as well.
Yeah, we did. You will catch them at night if you want to be out in the rolling ocean in the nighttime with a psychotic shark jumping around your boat. You can do that. They're probably more active in the nighttime. I've recounted that story a few times on here, Joey, where I think about 3 a.m. we had a mako of about 150, 200 kilo cartwheeling around the boat.
And you couldn't see it and just heard.
It's just the spray landing on our faces. A lot of belly, a lot of persistence, and I think also activity in terms of bottom bashing, bringing other fish up from the bottom, and you'll send out some distress signals from the fish that you're catching, and hopefully that will help to bring the sharks in. So definitely still around. Just got to put the time in for them, Joey.
That's a good tip, and that's even my tip for kingfishing. Like, make sure you got burley. Sometimes to catch liveys, because sometimes people, you want to catch a kingfish, they love live baits, and we've heard it all before. Can't get liveys today. It's not ideal, but bring some burley and try and get your liveys for your kingfish.
Tell you what I'm excited about, actually, speaking of fishing options, is the big summer flathead.
Oh.
Yes, I want to go over to Gippsland, Joey, and cast the shallow waters for some big.
Is that now, or is that more like autumn time?
No, it's now. It's now.
Okay.
Through to the autumn.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd love to do a little bit of that. Maybe some glide baits, or like there's been some good reports coming through Lake Tyers and even up there Wallaga Lake up at Burmy Way as well.
Yep.
And that is something that I'm pretty keen to investigate. And the big cods, a lot of big cod getting caught at the moment, as there always is. So that's another thing.
Yes.
Chucking big baits for them. Oops. All these things we need to invest more time in, Joe.
We'll get there.
We will. All right. Well, that's going to wrap us up for our questions for tonight. And if you've got not much further to add, Joey, you might even wrap the podcast up.
Yeah. No, it's been good. Good to be back for 2024. Yeah, big year ahead for us. We've got a lot of plans, and we'll let you guys know soon.
We do.
Lot of things that we've just got under wraps at the minute, but it's going to be a big year for Dave and I.
We've got a couple of exciting announcements coming, and hopefully it'll help us to bring the podcast to the next level. And we thank you all for tuning in. As always, you've been fantastic. We'll catch you guys all next week, and hopefully you have a prosperous weekend. Get out on the water and get stuck into some fish and spend some time with your families.
Beautiful weather for fishing tomorrow. Go fishing tomorrow if you can. That's my tip.
No, I'll be at work. Good night, all.
Good night, Australia.
And stream. Good night, all.